Do you suspect that you have a luteal phase defect? Or do you have shortened cycles and you don't understand what's happening? You maybe even have tried progesterone thinking that it was going to fix your cycles and help you get pregnant, and you are still here trying to conceive. Welcome back, my people. What's up? On this channel, we focus on empowering you with knowledge to optimize your fertility, even if you're a badass, busy, high-achieving woman. I'm Dr. Omama, and today we're tackling a lesser-known but crucial topic, luteal phase defect. And believe it or not, a lot of women come to me thinking that they already know that they have a luteal phase defect. So if you're having trouble conceiving, you've been trying to conceive and it's not working, luteal phase defects might be the link. And today we're going to talk about exactly what it is, how to understand it, and how to support your fertility with a luteal phase defect. And trust me when I tell you, the answer is not progesterone. I'm going to say it again. The answer is not taking progesterone. This is one of my biggest frustrations in the fertility world, and you're going to hear about exactly what is happening. I have a somewhat unpopular opinion, but I'm going to share it with you because y'all my people, and we're going to talk about exactly what this is, what's happening, why this is so important to your fertility, and what you can do about it besides trying to take progesterone. What is luteal phase defect? Let's talk about it. The luteal phase is the second half of your menstrual cycle right after ovulation, ending just before your next period. This phase optimally lasts between 12 to 14 days, and it's marked by the production of progesterone, a hormone that's crucial for maintaining a potential pregnancy. Progesterone prepares the lining of your uterus to receive and support a fertilized egg. If the luteal phase is too short, 10 days or less, this is known as a luteal phase defect, and it means that the uterine lining didn't really have enough time to thicken and support implantation, making it so much harder to conceive and carry a pregnancy to term. Now, realize that multiple times in this introduction, I've already mentioned insufficient progesterone, and this is said to be one of the main causes of luteal phase defect. However, without enough progesterone, the uterine lining can't thicken properly, making it really difficult for a fertilized egg to implant or sustain a pregnancy. This is why luteal phase defect is often linked to early pregnancy loss. The shortened luteal phase is below 10 days. I would say even optimally, you want above 12 to 14-day luteal phases. And if it's less than that, the body just doesn't have enough time to support a fertilized egg and its implantation. Women with a luteal phase defect may experience their period earlier than expected, reducing their chances of conception in that cycle. What's really important to understand is even though luteal phase defects are often linked to this low progesterone, progesterone may not be the issue. So often I find that women are told, oh, just take progesterone, this will fix your luteal phase defect. When in fact, as a naturopathic doctor, I know that just taking progesterone is not actually supporting any of the underlying factors that are contributing to luteal phase defects in the first place. Because progesterone is actually made by the corpus luteum, that's the shell of the egg that is ovulated in any given cycle. That shell stays behind in your ovaries and actually produces the progesterone. So the deeper problem here is poor egg quality. Since progesterone is involved in supporting healthy ovulation, low levels may have impacted the quality of the released egg, making conception more difficult. But as I said, because the egg and the corpus luteum actually develop together, if the corpus luteum is not healthy, it's not going to make adequate levels of progesterone, which then is causing or is actually an indicator of why this woman has a luteal phase defect. So it has less to do with the hormone but more to do with what produced that hormone in the first place. This is why I hate seeing women being put on progesterone without actually optimizing egg quality, because progesterone levels are just an indicator of what's happening with the quality of those eggs, right? So if you want to have good egg quality and you want to have a healthy luteal phase, you need to focus on the quality of those eggs that are being released and ovulated in each cycle. With early pregnancy loss, even if conception does occur, a woman with luteal phase defect is at much higher risk of an early pregnancy loss because there isn't enough thickness of the uterine lining to adequately prepare to support growing an embryo. So you absolutely need a healthy uterine lining, and often healthy uterine linings could have other issues. It's not just progesterone, but that could be one of the leading causes of why a woman is having these early pregnancy losses, or sometimes chemical pregnancies caused by the lack of implantation happening at the uterine level. The other thing to note, because I feel like progesterone kind of shines in the highlight of luteal phase, it's really important to understand that if your body has higher levels of estrogen than progesterone in the luteal phase, you could still have a luteal phase defect because you have too much estrogen and you're not getting enough of that progesterone balancing it out. But the problem here is not enough progesterone, it's actually too much estrogen. So instead of focusing on how do we increase progesterone in this phase, really understanding what is the balance of the hormones and how do we address your specific imbalance is crucial to supporting luteal phase defect, healthy implantation, and healthy pregnancy. So, how do you know if you have a luteal phase defect? Well, here are some easy common signs to understand if you might. One of the biggest signs is short menstrual cycles. If your cycles are consistently shorter than 25 days, you may have a short luteal phase. So it's really important to track your cycles and to monitor the time between ovulation and your next period. In order to track this, you either need to track your basal body temperature so you can know when ovulation happened, or you need to have a very ultra-sensitive LH monitor to be able to know when that LH surge happened. Ovulation probably happened 24 hours after, and that's considered ovulation, and you need to measure till your next period. It's really important to get this right. So if you haven't already, make sure to watch my video about tracking your cycles so that you can better understand your cycles, your body, and your hormones, which is crucial to understanding your own fertility for yourself. A second symptom that happens often is spotting before your period. Some women with luteal phase defects will experience spotting several days before their period starts. This is a sign that the uterine lining is breaking down too early. Additionally, if a woman doesn't have adequate progesterone to sustain that uterine lining, or that progesterone is starting to drop off, sometimes that actually triggers the spotting before the period. So really understanding what could be happening there is crucial. As I mentioned earlier, tracking your basal body temperatures is a really helpful way to identify luteal phase defects. A shorter luteal phase may cause your temperature to drop earlier than expected in your cycle and will often correlate to either spotting or an early cycle start checked on your basal body temperature chart. Blood tests to measure progesterone levels. Now, a lot of doctors actually screw this up, so listen up because you're going to know more than your doctor sometimes. Most of the time, women get their progesterone tested on cycle day 21. Unfortunately, if you have a luteal phase defect, a cycle day 21 test is actually not super helpful. So instead of a cycle day 21 test, you actually want to know exactly when you ovulated, count 7 days from that point, and then test your progesterone on ovulation plus 7. So that will help understand what your progesterone level is 7 days after ovulation and will likely correlate to a common luteal phase defect outcome. Endometrial biopsies. In some cases, a doctor may recommend an endometrial biopsy to check the development of the uterine lining during the luteal phase. This helps to understand whether your uterine lining is properly responding to progesterone. There is a thing called progesterone resistance that a woman's body just doesn't take to progesterone and hence will not have a thickening of the uterine lining, even if adequate levels of progesterone are present. As ambitious, career-driven, badass women, often stress and irregular schedules are playing a role in influencing hormone imbalances, which can lead to luteal phase defect. There are a few factors that might be contributing to your luteal phase issues. Chronic stress, for example. High stress leads to increased cortisol, which can interfere with the production of progesterone. Not only that, it can actually lower egg quality. So when you're under constant pressure and your body's diverting resources away from your reproductive system, it can shorten your luteal phase. This is often what I refer to as in survival mode rather than procreation mode. So if your body is in survival, it is focused on cortisol and survival rather than making baby. Poor sleep. Unfortunately, poor sleep is the foundation for a lot of imbalances in the body, and luteal phases are no exception. Because inconsistent sleep patterns can affect hormone balance, including the production of progesterone, it's a really easy link to say if you get disruptive sleep, frequently inefficient or low levels of sleep, it can disrupt the signal in your body to maintain a healthy luteal phase. Another root cause often is poor nutrition. Nutrient deficiencies, especially things like B vitamins and magnesium, can lead to low progesterone levels. So as busy professionals, it's really easy to rely on convenience foods, but they may not be able to provide the adequate levels of nutrients that we need to support hormone balance. In these cases, it's really helpful to make sure that you're supplementing if you can't get adequate nutrients from your food that you consume. And the way to support your nutrients is just making sure you have a good, healthy prenatal can be a really great starting point to supporting your various nutrient deficiencies, but it may be helpful to have a very focused prenatal for specific outcomes that you're looking for that you have understood to be at the root of your fertility struggle. Always remember, supplements need to be customized to each individual, so I don't believe in giving you blankets of supplements, but really focus on the ones that you absolutely need based on what is identified as happening for your body. The good news is luteal phase defect can often be treated with a functional approach, which looks at addressing the root cause rather than just relying on symptoms. Let's discuss how you can naturally support a luteal phase and boost your fertility. Progesterone support is one of the ways, and the way that I suggest supporting progesterone is usually through herbal means like Vitex, for example, that works really, really well, except Vitex is meant to be cycled. So do not fall into the trap of taking Vitex all the time throughout your entire cycle. I've seen a lot of women mess up their cycles that way. But if you cycle Vitex 15 days on during your luteal phase, 15 days off when you're not in your luteal phase, that's a really great rhythm. 14 days. If you are struggling with luteal phase defect, you actually have to keep shifting your Vitex intake based on your cycles. So this actually needs you to be consulting with a healthcare provider so that they can make sure you're getting the right dose of Vitex throughout your cycle to help regulate this luteal phase defect to begin with. Dietary changes. If you can focus on eating a diet rich in vitamin B6, magnesium, and zinc, these nutrients are essential for progesterone production. Leafy greens, nuts, seeds, whole grains, unprocessed carbs, and lean proteins are really great ways to support the production of progesterone in your body. Stress reduction always is a good thing to do, especially if you're on your journey to conception and motherhood. Managing your stress is critical for healthy luteal phase because, as I mentioned, it's the cortisol release steals your progesterone, makes the progesterone much lower than it should be, and can often contribute to luteal phase defect. So incorporating stress-relieving practices like yoga or meditation, or my favorite, deep breathing, to lower cortisol levels, it can help to support the production of progesterone. While exercise is really important, excessive exercise or intense workouts may disrupt hormone balance and shorten the luteal phase. So focusing on moderate activities like walking, swimming, or light strength training during your luteal phase is helpful to help prolong the luteal phase. We already talked about the herbal supplement Vitex, which is really helpful in regulating progesterone. Let's talk about another popular supplement that I think people get wrong very often. That supplement is called maca root, and maca root is often correlated to progesterone production, but it's really important to note that maca has 13 strains of maca. So different strains of maca can actually support different types of hormones. You might be taking a maca root that's increasing your testosterone, which is totally not what you want during your luteal phase. So it's really important to make sure that you're getting the right kind of maca for what you have going on. But if that's the case, then maca could potentially be really helpful in improving luteal phase defect. Again, always really helpful to consult with a professional before adding new supplements. Last but not least, I want to highlight the importance of increasing egg quality as one of the best ways to support progesterone production. If you improve the quality of the egg, you improve the corpus luteum, you improve your progesterone levels. It's really simple, y'all. So if you have not already done so, it's great to do everything that you can possibly do to lower oxidative stress. This means balancing your blood sugar levels. If you haven't watched that video, watch it over there. And you could get adequate sleep. You could get the right nutrients to support your antioxidant levels. And the right supplements are different for each person, but a good high quality egg quality supplement can go a long ways in supporting luteal phase defects. And what you should see or notice within 2 to 3 months is an improvement in your luteal phases, a lengthening of your cycles, as well as higher post-ovulation progesterone levels in blood. If you are struggling with fertility and suspect that you have a luteal phase defect, it's important to know that you're not alone, and there are steps that you can take to address it. By supporting your progesterone levels, managing your stress, and making key lifestyle changes, you can improve your luteal phase and increase your chances of conception. Remember, your fertility journey is unique, and it's essential that you work with a healthcare provider who understands your needs so that they can help guide you through the process. If you found this video useful, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and share it with women who may be experiencing fertility challenges. If you have any questions about luteal phase defect or anything else about your fertility, please feel free to DM me on Instagram at Holistic Fertility Doctor, which is where I hang out a lot and is often where I have real live conversations with people just like you. We're here to help you each step of the way. Let's get you to your goals of motherhood and get this party started.